views expressed in the following show are of the host, the guest, and the callers. The content of the following show, its accuracy, authenticity, and the ramifications of the use or application of said content is the responsibility of those speaking and listening, not the broadcast medium.
All right, we are back and we are live. Feet to the fire. I'm your host, James Southiachik, the Black Knight of Talk Radio. Now I got the NRA hat on. I want to say something. I've been doing a lot of gun stuff. If you've been listening to the, watching, I should say, this Facebook's feed. And I have not owned a gun until recently. And I'm not like a gun fan. You know, I don't like to go out sports shooting and I definitely don't like hunting, being a vegetarian. So I don't want to give the impression I'm some kind of a gun enthusiast. And there's really no problem. If you're a gun enthusiast, that's fine. But my whole point is the Second Amendment and the obvious demonstration that you have to protect yourself in these times, especially since the apparatus is doing such a poor job of it. So, I mean, that's where that comes from, just to put that off at the top. All right, we got a few things. I originally wrote up the description to say that I would update later with more information. I never did. So, but I got a bunch of stories I want to go through. A lot, news items, I guess, I want to go through and give my 2 cents for what it's worth. I have written a couple of articles that I posted on feettothefire.com. Actually, one is a recipe that I'm sharing, an email written to me by Ron Doman a while back for a incredibly healthy buckwheat oat pancake recipe. You know, I lost the original recipe where he's more verbose in, but then I found it. So I decided to post it. I made some this morning. They were very good, and so that is up as well on the website. But I wrote a little mini. I say the word article. It sounds more dramatic what it is, but I started thinking, there isn't any white or black people. I mean, I am not white, but I'm like, what color is that? I want to say beige, maybe with a touch of red in it. Varying shades of brown, I guess we would all be. Even, the Native Americans aren't red. And, so this whole color thing is kind of weird. But then I started to go on in the little article talking about things. And, I don't know, it just how you start something and it just goes on, and so then I started writing, and it went on and on a little bit. So I would recommend that article because I think that we are being raced. That is, we are being played by racists. Not, of course, Captain Obvious might step in and go, "Oh, really? I didn't know that. Gee, thanks for telling me." But I do think it needs to be said, and a lot of times when people say it, certain people say things certain ways that other certain people like or not like. So this article may be helpful for some, but it really outlines. So I will put links, of course, below. I'm not going to just read the link. I'm not going to read it here. So I just want to bring attention to it, and I will put the article links below so that people can do so. So I also implore people along the way, if you have any questions or comments, to send it an email, James at feettothefireradio.com. There's the chat room going on both in the live Facebook, YouTube, and the live Spreaker. Most people watch the video as opposed to listen to the audio, but it's there. And there are some people who take advantage of it. It's a little easier if you're out and about, to put it on there. I do have things that are visual that if you're listening to the audio you will miss, but the links will be provided both in the Spreaker as well as the Facebook descriptions. And, of course, I always post the shows on a website, too, feettothefireradio.com. So it's all there for you to get at your leisure. Now let me switch this over here to the Facebook. Boom. I got the articles I put on Facebook that I will go through. Again, I've been posting things more on Minds than before, Minds.com and Gab, along with Twitter. So the way to get a hold of those... Actually, let me just push this here. We're going to run a web page. Let me go to Skype. There we go. I'll just go on this page for a minute. This will, all the little things will scroll across the bottom if you're watching. And if you aren't watching or listening, you're listening, going to the description, we'll have the various information on there. And I'd like to ask people who are on Twitter and are following me. I've been tweeting out some stuff, and throughout time, I've gotten feedback on the tweets, either a like or a comment. And for weeks now, I haven't had any. And I'm wondering, while I'm not in the top echelon of people in the labeled the alt-right, I'm wondering if perhaps I'm limited. Because we had a, maybe I should start off with this. Last week, we had a alleged shooting in Northwestern University. They broke in on TV. I was on the road driving, but Lucinda called me. They broke in on TV, had live camera footage. There's a shooting believed, an active shooter at Northwestern University. They brought out the SWAT teams and whatnot, and they were pursuing it. And I'm thinking, wow, So I was actually sitting at that moment, and I went on Twitter and Facebook, and these various people I follow, no one's talking about it. So I'm tweeting it out like, oh, wow, don't they know this is going on? And I tweeted it out to various people. Now, I realize a lot of these guys get thousands of tweets. I didn't know, so it could be missed in the thing. But nobody, and when it was over, they found out that it was a false call, which actually came from miles away in Rockford. Evanston is north of Chicago. Rockford is kind of northwest of Chicago. And so it turned out that's where the phone came from. But I thought that was even a story in itself, that, okay, the ne'er-do-wells have now upped the ante and got into felonious territory with calling in a shooting and whatnot, bringing out the guard. That wasn't even posted. I mean, I have still to this date, I have not seen anything posted other than the local news. I posted a article from the Tribune. And I was just, I don't know, I just was stunned. It's like, I don't know, is Chicago that, I know they call it Second City, and it gets famous for its murders and shootings. And I thought, hey, this would be, I could find out what's going on, and I couldn't. I'd have to watch TV, which I can't do in the truck, to find out about Chicago television. And I was out of town, so I couldn't get radio as well. So it was just kind of a weird thing. It's like, well, wait a minute. Maybe is my tweets getting out there? Is it me and I don't know. So somebody could do that just to let me know that there's something going on. I mean, again, usually they only ban people who have 1 million followers and whatnot. So, but I just didn't understand that. Maybe just because it's Second City, Chicago. I don't know. Anyway, getting back to webpage. Donald Trump released a tweet. I spent because, recapping, we all know by now, most people who are listening to this show are listening to other things or watching and reading other things. So this is not breaking news for today. But you already know about that Andrew McCabe has been fired hours before he would be eligible for his pension. Obviously, that would be there's a reason to do that other than just firing him. I mean, they wanted to fire him, and send a message. So he apparently has related that he has memos, not unlike Comey, of the meetings with Trump, like a threat, like, oh yeah, you do that to me, I could take other people down, as some of the implied items. Another side, but if somebody was transcribing this, they'd be going nuts with all the parenthetical expressions along the way, but These well-placed sources and this person in the government or in the intelligence who wants to be anonymous, and I understand about not being anonymous and not having your name out there because you would get in trouble, or the powers that be who are fighting against you would say so. I mean, I got that, right? I got that, but it's like all the news now. Oh, there was a clip there. I got to turn this down a little bit. I was fooling around with my guitar earlier, and I think I was overdriving the system here. Test 1 2. All right, there we go. I lost my train of thought. Oh my God, what a knucklehead. Boy. Yeah, I don't know, old age. What is this? What's going on here? Oh, McCabe. So, he's got his notes and memos and all that. That's got whispering in my ear. He's chuckling, going, "Oh man, what a piece of work! I made this guy, so I gotta somehow make it work here, or I'm looking bad." But so he had these memos, and all these people in these communities coming out with this anonymous stuff. It's getting on hand because now anybody could say anything attributed to an anonymous source, whether it's true or not, whether they actually heard it or they made it up. And it's, of course, that's nothing new. You read the works of Bart Ehrman, that goes all the way back in the various books of the Bible that are claimed to be written by somebody and so on. I mean, it's an old thing, but it's just, and probably the QAnon stuff has really got on my nerves with this. But anyway, closing all those parentheses and getting back to the point, if he has memos, and this goes out to James Comey, too, who has his book coming out, that the truth will be known. I want these people to read these under oath, okay? Because I'm so sick of people writing their story. It's like, I don't want to know their story. I want to know the facts. I want to know reality. I don't want to know people's story. Everyone has a story. It's their truth. No, there is no their truth. It's either real, actual, factual, or it isn't. It's an opinion, or it's a factual, and here's the data to back it up. And so when somebody says, well, a well-placed source has said, that's getting so old that it's almost meaningless to me. In fact, it's aggravating. But anyway, Donald Trump, on the other hand, comes out and says straight up, no anonymous. A White House source says that Donald Trump on the tweeter on Twitter, spent very little time with McCabe, but he never took notes when he was with me. I don't believe he made memos except to help his own agenda, perhaps at a later date. Same with lying James Comey. Can we call them fake memos? Donald Trump does things I wouldn't, but I got to give the guy credit for just coming out, blah, No, he may be playing chess, as they put it, 3D chess with all the things going on, but when it just says it out there, and I'd rather have that than have some slick talking whatever. So there's Donald Trump going on the record. I mean, it's not under oath, but it's in public on the record saying, never took no memos when he was with me. So we'll see about that. A nice little graphic here. You could see this online. I don't want to, especially people listening on the sound. Now, here's an article. There's abortionist, and I lost the original article. I lost meaning I was on the road and I didn't save it. Well, it turns out that the abortionist who said she cuts, quote, she cuts babies' cords so they can't scream when she delivers them. I mean, just saying that, it's just a disgusting thing. When I first read it, when you read stuff like that, your brain just goes, what? What? And so she apparently got a barrage of problems with that. You think? And has deleted her original post. But, of course, nothing is deleted in the universe. They're around somewhere. Somebody's got it somewhere. And then there's always the archives. But she tried to delete her post. Now look at his face. Now I don't know if they picked a bad picture. Is this her picture? You know, is this her Twitter picture or whatnot? But somebody had wrote on there, what's she trying to be famous? If you look down in the post, and I wrote a comment. I said she's doing some shtickle for St. Peter to work with when she has an audience with him later. No, I'm not one of these vengeful God types. You know, the God's going to destroy the earth and brimstone and fire and all that. I mean, it's God knows what's best to do, and it's up to God, and it's not my job, thank goodness. But just picture yourself being an atheist in particular, and there's moral atheists that will get us a pleasant surprise, I guess you'd say. But just being this person doing this stuff and then showing up and going like, you know, because they'd realize, like, wait a minute, and then being revealed automatically since you're out of your insane body, what's been going on. I mean, just imagine. I mean, I don't enjoy that. I don't look at it and go like, oh, she'll get hurt. To me, I see that and I just go like, with fear. It's like, oh my God. You know, it's the old forgive them, Father, they don't know what they do. But the problem is going to be, in her case, in my theological universe anyway, the problem is going to be her forgiving herself more than anything else. And probably some of those aborted babies will come eventually to help that forgiveness, because when an individual who is not, you know, of course, there are people who have chosen to go to we'll call it the negative side, and they're like, hey, I like the negative side, no problem. But I think what they don't realize, the negative side is going to be exaggerated. There won't be any sheep to shear on the negative side, and it's going to be wolf versus wolf, which some may enjoy. I don't know, but I have now digressed off the topic. I hope you guys like that. I just ramble on because I can't help. People talk to me on the phone, guys at work. I'll call them up and they're like, "Yeah, I got to get going. Somebody's calling me. I got to get going." So I'm wondering if they're anyway. Illinois. I'm getting a distortion here. Hey, Illinois. Where's that coming from? Hey. Something is distorting along the way. I'm getting no red distortion lines. So let me just turn this down a little bit, maybe. Illinois is rated number 51, or 1, however you want to say it. It is the highest taxes in the United States. I live in Illinois, and I get that privilege. Kudos, Republican governor. Kudos, Democratic congressman. They are. I actually got some figures here. Let me switch views to the greater view here. Let me do this. It might make it easier on me. Yeah, I could do that. Number 1, Illinois. I can't read it too well because it's in color. It's 14. Let's say 14.5% taxes. That is not including federal. That is state and local taxes. It would be the state, the county, and then city. If you're in Chicago, there's a city tax. So my guess is that they're taking it from the highest point, 14.5%, plus your, 25%? What is it now? I mean, that is outrageous. And here I am. And I kind of had planned on just pretty much dying here. I mean, hopefully quite a while from now, but and it's going to be well. Here's what's happening. We go to the next. Oops, wrong. And lost the state tax. Oh, that was dumb. I got 2 of the same. Here, this is what I wanted. All right. Here's another thing. This. By the way, this is off Zero Hedge, I should say. Here is the net population change by state, 2016 to 17. You have Texas gaining almost you get 400,000 people moved to Texas, where I don't know what the number is. I'm going to guess here based on it. Say 35,000 left Illinois. It is the largest exodus of all states. West Virginia is next. Wyoming next. So that, and I want to show one more picture. I got to deal with this here. Zip down. Come on. Come on. Zoom, 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 zoom. That one, that one. That one, that one. No, I guess that was the two. I thought I had three. That's right. It just had the state and then the copulation. So people are leaving Illinois. And unfortunately, I don't have that, at this point anyway, I don't have that option. Though I would like to. I kind of like New Mexico, Arizona. If I had to pick a place, ideally, I'd like to have a summer home like in Wisconsin or perhaps even Canada, but we'll say north. I like the northern country, Upper Peninsula, Michigan, Minnesota, and then a winter place down in Arizona, New Mexico. So, they got any land to donate, let me know. But anyway, moving on. Let's see. There's the pancakes. There's the article. Now, several things have come up since I posted this, so I'll just use this to tag on to. There's some people who have been analyzing about the Russian, quote-unquote, Russian poisoning of their retired spy, and it's coming back a lot of negative. There's a lot of evidence. I know is this familiar or what? Weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. We got to go in and have a war and kill a million people and do all this stuff. Hey, we can't find any. And then you got George W. at the press club going, I know there's WMDs here somewhere. Are they over here? And he runs across the stage. I wish I had that queued up. Are they over there? And he run across the stage. Gotta be here somewhere. Everybody's laughing. Man, George, I'm telling you, you're killing me. No, you're killing me. Well, actually, that's what millions of people were saying in Iraq, or many hundreds of thousands. You're killing me, literally. Anyway, so it's looking like, I know, surprise, it wasn't the Russians, but the Russians are the new Iraq. And it's like, Putin said this in response that if you were to attack Russia, you're dealing with a nuclear power. So if these knuckleheads are planning on attacking Russia, they will greatly affect the quality of life of people throughout the cities of the United States as they are mushroomed. What a bunch of knuckleheads. I heard a couple of John Brennan lying and so forth. There's people coming out saying, you don't mess with John Brennan. I'm like, So who is this guy? I'll leave that article there for reading. Now, I'm going to, at the end of the show, I think I'll do this. I posted another song that I wrote back in the day. It was in the late 90s, I think, and I, recorded and mixed it early 2000. Prince's Lava Lava. I'll play it at the end of the show. It's not related to our topics, but I actually got out the guitar and restrung it. I want to give some credit to Zeph Daniels there, a guest we had a couple weeks ago, who was kind of inspired me to get back into the music stuff, which I wanted to do, but I just had to make time. Taxes are done. And so, here we go. Here's an article. Some of this news, again, people have already talked about this. So I'm putting in my 2 cents. This person is suspended because he didn't want to participate in this student walkout. So it's been proven by this over and over a lot that the student walkout was not a student walkout, but it was an orchestrated walkout by the left, which permeates the education system, which is ridiculous. That should be blasted. If the people were making them walk out to protest, for a right-wing thing, oh boy, it would be everywhere. But, and people say that, and they go like, well, they're perplexed. Like, well, I don't understand it. How can they be so biased when they claim to be unbiased? How can they be that way? I mean, how's that possible? How do they get away with doing that? I mean, how could they do that? And it's because they know that. I mean, they're not trying to be fair or honest. I mean, it's not even in their, it's not a point whatsoever. Their goal is to get their agenda across, not to be fair and honest. So we go, wait a minute, it's not fair. It's like, if they were to be honest about I don't care. I know it's not fair. I know what we're doing here. You're the guys who are trying to think, hey, wait a minute, that's not fair, man. We're the ones that are the ones that are naive, thinking that they should be. Now, this is a very good post. I got this from somebody on my list, and I posted it over. It's got the Nazi book burnings back in the day. It says book burnings don't look just like this. They also look like this. This video has been removed because of its content violated YouTube's terms of service. So that would be the modern day book burnings. And it's a very good point. And I would people who are on the Facebook deal should pass that meme, I guess it is, around, because it's true. Now, Einstein also said, I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interactions. The world will have a generation of idiots. And of course, this person put this up the day that Albert Einstein feared had arrived, and they got people in various group settings all having their own individual technological stuff. Yeah, and this is to call me, Mr. President, the American people will hear my story very soon, and they can judge to themselves who is honorable, who is not. And my response was, hey, would you mind reading that under oath, Mr. Comey? Now, there's another thing that's popping up all over the place. People are popping this stuff up a lot, and I like, look, race and nation, white families matter. These statements are, university is a code word for white genocide, and they're calling these things, I'm saying, like, more accurately, neo-Bolsheviks and knuckleheads are hanging these banners. But if you actually look at some of the things they're saying, white families matter, and so forth, I may have to amend that post, because they're not white supremacist sayings. I mean, university is a code word for white genocide. Well, I mean, they're teaching people that being white is bad, which is racist and so on. So, at first reading on it, I was looking at the article, which is talking about white supremacists hanging these banners, and yet, if you read the banners, white lives do matter, but it's asserted that the black lives don't. If white lives do matter, black lives don't, which is, of course, all part of the narrative. So I may have to kind of amend that. Yeah. I said this earlier about all these people, this ex-SBI saying the upcoming Inspector General is a pure TNT. A lot of these former XBIs guys are all saying this stuff, and I want to see some action. This was another good meme, I guess it is. People in other countries are forced to hear state-run propaganda. People in this country do it willingly, and has people from various media on there. Very good point. Let's see. We got our buddy David Hogg unleashes long, naughty language on gun control. Well, my statement to that is, what if Hogg and the other handpicked students, spokespeople, were not the bees of the propagandist media? I mean, when you have, I don't know, how many students are in that school? I don't know, let's just say 100. And 4 are picked out. And those 4 all are on the same narrative of gun control. And those only those 4 are heard. And you had stories about other ones being passed over because they didn't have a gun control message. It's like, hello, this is not news. This is, of course, propaganda, which is, of course, what it is, and they know that, and that's the goal. We have to keep remembering that. I also wrote a comment. No, I guess I should read this because I don't have this. There's no way I can link to this because it's on the Facebook. You can't link to individual Facebook posts, which is kind of odd. But well, the excuse they give is white supremacy and the like, It is not about race. It is about the reinvigoration of the American ideals that allows all races, faiths, or no faith to work, live, and dream together in peace under a constitutional protection which has for decades been under attack, oppression, and reprogramming. Yes, there has been slaves, but under this Constitution, they were freed. Yes, there has been racism, but under this Constitution, racism has abated or lessened, I guess. It is by ruthless, active, aggressive, and unconscionable premeditated attacks on this Constitution by the neo-Bolsheviks, the neo-Maoists, and the neo-Soviets, and their propagandists in the legacy media. Race, religion, or atheism has been used, exploited, perverted to try and bring down the constitutional protections, stopping them from destroying America. It is time to call it out as it is. Throw out those promoting it from within government, throw those in jail when applicable, and get back to the intent of those who started this thing, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That is the point. If we can obviously see this, then they would have no effect. I mean, people like Facebook and YouTube are throwing people offline. Yes, okay, that's a power, that's an effect that they have. But they wouldn't have the effect of being able, I mean, it would be worthless because we would know. We would ignore their propaganda. We wouldn't need to have people to tell us this. Here's a lady, and I don't know why her cat is backwards. Perhaps they posted it here so this wouldn't be banned. But an Instagram removed a photo of a MAGA hat for violating community guidelines. The lady had his hat on there which said, "Make America Great Again." She is of some Asian descent and a lady as opposed to a guy. You know, it's all white old guys with who have the Trump hats, right? Oh, so. But here we have a young Asian lady who is doing this, and it's being taken away. Putin won by a huge margin. Of course, the rhetoric, without even hearing any of it, I know the rhetoric's going to be he lost, but articles there. I'll have these links. Catherine Austin Fitz. Last night on Monday, Money and Markets, I announced we are launching a new website this AM. We wake up the AM, the new site is all messed up. What a coincidence. So there's talking about they're having war games, and we think that's it. Tommy Robinson interview. Tommy Robinson is, what a guy. This guy has got guts. He is fighting a very aggressive and hostile government in the UK. We don't have it that bad here. We don't got it bad compared to the UK. It's turning out that. And he's been in jail several times, and the guy just keeps on keeping on. I mean, man, my hat is off to him. Not much else I could do other than spread his story, spread his words, and cheer him on from here. But God bless Tommy Robinson. That's all I got to say. He's a good guy. That's another of McKay being fired. Here's Chicago's trash Walmart during a walkout over gun violence. This is the knuckleheadia. I don't know what the knuckleheadia I call it. This is what this junk that's going on. These people are going to come out of school. They don't know. They don't know their head from a hole in the ground or their posterior. They go out and they riot. It's to stop gun violence. When what they do is that whole act tells you that this is why we need to have our own right to bear arms, because of knuckleheads like this. Who knows how it would go out of hand at this Walmart. And so I appropriately put this here. Oh, that's not going to play right now.
Only happened as I kind of town Chicago.
There you go. They should have pictures of
my kind of town.
They should have pictures of the riots when they do that. I can't keep playing it because the YouTube will, I'll get beat for copyright infringement. There's another student had his supporting gun rights. Got in trouble for doing it again. Links are will be surprised. Interesting article, RonPaulInstitute.org, blaming Russia for Skripal attack similar to Jews poisoning wells in the Middle Ages. In other words, an excuse for war. IRS found 1.2 million cases of identity theft by illegal immigrants. Now that should be turned over to ICE and they should be dealt with. But as far as I know, the Internal Revenue can't turn over non-revenue things to the police. For example, if you're a drug dealer, as long as you claim in your money that you make, they're happy. But I don't think they can. The story can get out like this, but I don't think they can literally put it together. You know, these kids with their walking out of schools and protesting reminds me very much of the Mao Red Guard, is it called? Red Brigade? But the Mao stuff where they're protesting and ended up turning in their parents, some killing them even. All right, I'm telling you, this guy, you think he's one of my new favorite guys. And I hope he doesn't...
The Russians hacked our election. The Russians attacked our democratic process. You've heard these claims from the media and from politicians for well over a year. And then the recent federal indictment of Russians accused of intervening in the 2016 election, that was the final bit of proof, right? Consider the fact that the Russian meddling indictment was just $100,000 in Facebook ads bought to swing the election. And compare it...
Of course, there was $1 billion spent by Hillary.
To the money spent and the lives put at stake when the U.S. meddles in foreign elections or outright overthrows governments all over the world.
I'll leave it there because, again, I don't know about the copyright stuff. But what happens here, Ben Swan, he was a mainstream media guy. He got fired for doing a expose on Pizzagate, just basically putting together what was known. And he took his reality check out onto the web. He's now supported by Dash Cash, Digital Cash, crypto, and great stuff. And he goes through in this one and talks about how many times the U.S. has meddled in other elections for a good cause. This is the outrage. Of course, again, they're not going to be surprised and go like, "Oh, we didn't know we were doing it." Of course, they know they're doing it. They're doing their good cause means what they think is right. So if you don't agree with them, they can't imagine why you wouldn't agree with them. So either you're crazy, backward, and and marginalized. Because if you did have a brain and you had some type of intellect, you would of course agree with them because they are the right ones. But Ben Swan, good guy. I recommend him highly. If you're on YouTube, you can subscribe to his channel. Everything I've seen him do has been top notch. I haven't gone back far in the past, because he does have some of his old reality checks up there, but I'm sure they're fine. Excuse me. How do I do this now? Okay. So Ben Swan's reality checks. Sweden softens punishment for child molesters. Oh, yeah, here's the article I mentioned before about the shots fired. I'll put the links down at the bottom. Bitcoin. This is the thing that's bothering me. And some Bitcoin people aren't, they don't agree with me. But what bothers me about Bitcoin is how it stumbles to all this stuff. Bitcoin stumbles as Google plans to ban ads for all cryptocurrency ads. So why would Bitcoin stumble at that point? I mean, if people understand what the whole point of cryptocurrency is, there should be no stumbling. But it's being hijacked by day traders, so to speak, who will simply not let it turn into a cryptocurrency. And so it goes up and down. Let me see if I can find... I hope my password and all that doesn't... You just go to the charts. I don't think you have to sign in to get the charts. There we go. I gotta flip this now. Well, it's back up again, but it was down here. But, here we are at 11. It goes down, and if we go back, let's say this is a month. I can't go back. But here's these points. I can't go back too far. I don't want to go a year because, so that's too much. So here we are in December, almost hitting 20,000. It drops back up, drops back up, drops back. Here we are back down to almost the lowest apart. I got mounted again. And it aggravates me because it's not that it's affected by this other stuff going on. It's all games being played. And I thought the cryptocurrency might be immune to some of these games. And so when you have the stories like these guys not going to take the ads, or then you had the brief story about South Korea is not going to allow price crashes, then all of a sudden, well, we're going to allow it. Oh, then, so what it does is it allows people, it's kind of high, let's bring it down, and now they can buy the cryptos again as it goes back up again, and it keeps falling into this. Every time a bad thing comes out, and they sell, and it's like, these cycles are allowing it to not become a currency. If for nothing else, if it keeps going up and down 25% swings, it'll never be a currency. It'll be a day trading idea where they can let it go. We'll keep it up to, when it gets up to 10, we'll sell. When it's at 7, we'll buy, and just keep going back and forth. Sometimes it goes up a little higher. Sometimes it goes up a little lower. Sometimes it goes up, but it goes up $3,000, let's say, up and down, and you could sit there and make $3,000. Well, people say, well, why don't you do that? Because I got to sit. I mean, that's not what it's for. So what you're doing, I think, is you're manipulating and abusing the price. It's like buying the dollar and trading it to the euro and back and forth and making a penny or two here and there, but doing it with such huge volumes, you make money. That's not what it's supposed to be for. You're abusing the system to do it. Of course, well, it's free will, it's free market, right? Let the free market handle it. Yeah, well, it is. Fine. That's funny. Eminem talking about how violence and gun violence, where in his rapping songs, he does this deal. Again, Ben Swan, my man. Mass shootings and psychiatric drugs. No one's mentioning it on the mainstream. Of course, he's not on the mainstream now, but he is what mainstream TV should be. He's the type of material that goes out and does it without having the charismatic personality and not having hyperbole and whatnot. Just coming up and saying it straight, putting a nice presentation together, keeping it a nice length, chock full of data. The UK's. Oh yeah, that reminds me. All right, let me stop this for a minute here because I will forget if I don't. Pay attention here. I got this. I'd like to have people who are listening to this show, whether it's a live archive, I don't care. If it's all right, who am I getting on now? Oh, get him on. Ben Swan. I want to try. I'm going to see if he would like to. I'd like to have people who are listening in these other countries. England, Spain, Sweden, Italy, and others. But we hear stories about, and I actually know somebody who lives in Sweden, and I tried to get her. She was a radio personality on one of the internet stations I was on a while back, and I tried to get her on. Didn't seem really interested. But I would like to hear people to be able to talk about the news stories about how we're getting all of these gang rapes, these no-go zones and all this. Hearing about it on InfoWars. They have sent guys over to report on it. A couple people have said things in there. I'd like to get people. I mean, I could tell you about Chicago. I even lived in there in years, and I can still tell you about it. And I go in and out of it more than I would like. But I could tell you the real deal on things. So I would like people from, Spain. Spain has been in the news. Of course, England with Tommy Robinson and all. And Sweden for having a lot of rapes and so-called grooming. What is this grooming gangs? What do you go and get a shave and a haircut? I mean, it's not grooming games. It's sexual predators. It's pedophiles. That's what it is. I don't like the word grooming. It sounds like it's a euphemism or something. But if you're in these countries, and if you're in a country that I didn't mention, please write me, email me, James at Feet to the Fire Radio. You can, there's all kinds of ways you can touch with me, Facebook, whatever. And let me know your experiences, if any. You could say, no, I've never seen any of this. I drive through all the main cities all the time, and I don't see any of this. I want to hear it. I want to know the reality of it, because it's very easy for someone to pick out a couple of odd situations and then blow it up. And, of course, both sides do it, but most notably the left. And they would also, if I could use the word blow down, downplay things that'll happen. They'll have, and that's what they're doing with these deals. So I would like to have people now. I'll use as much as your information as you want, or none. I could say Jane Doe from England. That's fine too. Whatever. But I'd like to get some kind of firsthand. And I don't mean that these people. I don't want you, who I'm talking to get your information from a news source and you're telling me. I'd like to know your personal, as you walk down the street. Now, if you're in an area which is immune from that, but you know of areas, you know of people, that's fine too. I want firsthand experience. And I'm going to mention this stuff every week, I think, as we go into this the world events. If you are, I'd like to know what people think in these countries of Russia. Are you feel threatened by Russia? In the areas. I mean, why? If you feel like it, why? Articulate it. You have to come up with an argument, articulation. You can't just say, well, I feel threatened, because it doesn't mean you are. If you have a phobia, it doesn't mean that it's really going to get you. And if you're programmed by the media or your political ideology, though I don't think there's an awful lot of liberal listeners, only because of some of my stance on it. But I am not a Republican. I'm not a registered Republican. I mean, when you go for the primary, you got to pick a party. So I voted in the Republican primary last year. No, I didn't. I think about it. No, I didn't. The last Republican primary I voted in was Ron Paul, and then he wasn't. He got pushed out, and I actually wrote his name in for the presidency, just because it was Obama or Romney. It was like Obamney. I was not moved by that. But I'm not. I really am not. I mean, in fact, if you actually interviewed me on some of my plans of what I would have done, it would be shocking. I wouldn't have any oil companies owning any oil. It would be the people's oil, and the companies are contracted to take the people's product out of the ground, whether it be gold, diamonds, whatever it is. I wouldn't have anybody own that stuff. You can own the land, but you can't own that stuff, which is going to be pulled out. And you'd be paid for doing it. I mean, the companies will be paid for mining it and processing it. You can't use oil without being processed. They got to mine it. They got to process it. But that's the problems I have. One of the things, just one. Now, that wouldn't fit in to conservatives or Republicans. But there are principles here that are coming on that are more important, which reason why I would go to the right. Anyway, in UK, I get my screen back here. I can see the screen, but you can't. In the UK, they ban guns. Then then knife crime skyrocketed. Now I don't have the data on the knife time skyrocketed. So now they have knife protests and buybacks. Yes, this is okay. So stop knives, save lives, and they got guys taking the knives back. And what's next? They got knives coming up. It looks to me like those knives that he's putting in are like kitchen knives. Is that what they want you to actually have? Is to turn your kitchen knives in? I have a knife that I carry with for use at work, and I got a habit of taking this knife. It's and I cut the little zip ties that hold out plastic zip ties. But I have a habit of carrying it with me, and I used to take it out when I got home and put it away. And then I read this one meme that was attributed to a Russian diplomat. I don't know if it was, because I've heard it elsewhere attributed. But it was like, always bring a knife with you. You never know when there might be cheesecake or you have to cut somebody's throat, stab somebody in the throat or something like that. It was like, what? But that's true. You know, when you're protecting yourself, anything and everything it could be used to help you. I think we're coming close to the Laura. We all know about Laura Sutherland on her arrest and the others. Here's the House Republicans say no collusion on Russia. Of course, that's no one's going to talk about that because obviously the Republicans are hiding Trump. Of course, Republicans are just going backwards, bending over backwards for Trump, as you see what's happening on there. So, of course, there isn't any collusion because there isn't any collusion. I also recommend Liz Wheeler is another person that to watch her commentary. She is for One America News Network, and I say this again: write your people about. Can you get Ryan? All right, Andrew, if you can send me some kind of an email with that, because frankly, I can write it down. But any request people have to interview something, send it to James at feettothefireradio.com, and I will look into it. One of the things that I have resisted was, I just heard so-and-so on Coast to Coast the other day, and you should interview him. Well, you just heard him. Now, granted, maybe I can ask different questions. But, I'll check it out if you send me email. You know, I would love to be able to talk to somebody who would be on the left, who would like to talk about these things. Because there really isn't the right, left and the right. As we could see, we have the right is both right, and, it's the neocons, and, you have their versions of it. I would love to talk about this, but everyone I seem to talk to who is left-oriented ends up coming up with stuff like, oh, Trump's a jerk, he's an idiot, and some kind of jokes. Give me data. Show how he's driving down the economy, or how he's arresting people of color to get them off the streets, or some kind of. Give me data. Give me something, not your feelings. And for that matter, there's a lot of people who were on the right, the traditional Republican conservatives, don't like Russia. Hey, the Cold War's over, pal. Get over it. So, and I want to mention there's a lag in the chat room from me talking. I don't know, it's some kind of a latency. So if people write stuff like, "Yeah, I agree," I don't know what that is. So if you can write sentences for me, if you want me to see it, if you can write sentences let me know what it means, because I don't know what it is. So, One America News Network, if you have UVerse, AT&T, I think it's also on one of the satellites that AT&T bought. I would really recommend watching that stuff because it's news like it should be reported, and they have some great stuff. Luckily, they put it up on YouTube, so if you don't get it and you can't get it, you can also buy to have it streamed. I'm actually paying $4.95 a month to get Cloud TV just to get One American News Network. You can get it directly on Roku as well. Still $4.95, so that's why I got it from Cloud TV. You could do it that way, and I'd recommend it. But if you want to test it out first before you open your pocket, go to YouTube, One American News Network, OANN, and you can watch the reports. And I put them up on Facebook, and a lot of them will be on the bottom when I do things, and it's really good. It's really, really good. And I just noticed Jack Prosovic did a couple of reports on there, so he might be working with them too, so that's kind of cool. So I mentioned that One American News Network, and Liz Wheeler is, you'll see me put some of her, because she'll put up her last commentary, the last word or whatever she calls it, and she got good stuff. Good stuff. I'm encouraged when I see this stuff. However, I'm not encouraged when I see this crap. I tell you, this stuff just absolutely sickens me. The videos they got of Joe Biden, it's obvious this person is awkward, right? And look at him. And and there's one video of a mother.
Glenn Kennedy with Project Uninsured. Look at her. I'm out of here. So,
I don't want to have the commentary. Yeah, she's like, no, don't touch me. You know, and the parents are like, well, you know, that's Joe Biden. We got to let him do that kind of stuff. And it's disgusting. I can't even watch it. And seeing a man kind of touching that to a girl, it's like disgusting. You know, and these people just like, well, that, you know, we have to turn I can't do it anymore. All right, so I, you know, passing that. I also put up, by the way, I'm not going to play it, but if you go to Spreaker.com, type in my name, I think it is, James Arthur Jancic, just Jancic. I don't know how many Jancics are going to be on there. You can see I got Feet to the Fire up there. You can download the podcast. I also have music up there, and I put a music that I did, which was a kind of a Euro dance mix that I did back in 2001 for a club, local club. It was a Eastern European, you know, because in that part of Chicago, there's a lot of Polish and Czech and Lithuanians and so on. So I made this, and from there you can see where I got the Feet to Fire theme. I took it out later, but I'm not going to bother with it now. I think I've done here. I got Less Visible coming up. Yeah. Here's what this is what the left is saying. Yeah, you know, we like this. Yeah, this is a husband to the wife, right? Yeah, that's great. All right, I'm going to stop here because I got Less Visible and I have to get up to work early tomorrow. I have a lousy day Friday and I got a lousy day tomorrow. So, but after Less Visible, I will end with Princess Lava Lava for the heck of it. For those who would like to hear a song and doesn't want to go out to look up for it. Here we go with Mr. Visible. Oh, I'm going to have to refresh it here. There we go.
I think I might be getting a little tired of Aru. It's hard to say. I love sending greetings from the Arcturian Brotherhood and the Sirius Cluster. I love my invisible friends who change their identities like entities in the Interdimensional Witness Protection Program. The intensity and presence of my friends changes depending on the country I'm in. In Italy, Lord Ganesh was often around and in the most amusing fashion. In Germany, Amitabha Buddha was quite often around, as was Krishna here and there. The ineffable is around everywhere, which you would expect because everything is made out of him and animated by him and is ruled over by him. And there are a couple, three representatives of the one and only, depending on what needs to be said and how any of it is supposed to be interpreted. I got quite a petri dish coming up in this post.
Oh, hold on there. It was my mistake. What an idiot. I'm going to have to try to guess where he was.
The intensity and presence of my friends changes depending on, as was Krishna here and there. The ineffable is around everywhere.
I'll leave it there. Sorry about that.
Which you would expect because everything is made out of him and animated by him and is ruled over by him. And there are a couple, three representatives of the one and only, depending on what needs to be said and how any of it is supposed to be interpreted. I got quite a petri dish coming up, and this post may be indicative a bit of it because I'm a little bit far out there. How unlike me. And well, we shall see. As has been stated numerous times here on broadcasts and on the blogs, we are very much focused on trends around here. We watch the wheels go round. We've got our eye on Proud Mary. Mm-hmm. We watch characters come and go, Jack in the Box like, and we watch the shapeshifters and the deep state puddle jumpers, and in their Humpty Dumpty outfits with all the king's horses and all the king's men, playing musical chairs at the Mad Hatter's round table, and a white rabbit pops up every now and then. And we don't know if Alice in Wonderland's a tranny who reads from the Melius Maleficarum, or simply warming up for the witch dance on All Hallows Eve. Keeping it real, folks. Keeping it real. You got your mind right now, Luke? It's all about those trends. Time is flying. One of our biggest problems in the awareness shuffle is that we often look at things and not into them. It's the forest of the trees thing. Let's start with Ronnie Reagan and the Ayn Rand cluster jerk of the 80s. When greed was good and Coke was the unreal thing in the back of your mind, remember, it's the same thing, only different. Yeah. So they did that, let's just go back to Reagan. They did that tabula rasa thing with Reagan's mind, his brain, so that Darth Bush could run the behind-the-scenes evil empire and then become Prez himself. He was one of the top criminal psychopaths of the last century. Then the serial killer twins from Clintonia did all those encores of Slip, Slide, and Wave. Yeah. And that was with Bill William Clinton and Andy Cohen. Who could forget Andy Cohen? Why not? Well, they were trying to greenlight that My Girlfriend is the Ugliest Woman in the World contest, which Bill was famous for. And next it was Lights Out for the Dumbest and Meanest President of all time, Mr. Segway with the Looney Tunes gyroscope. And you will note the interesting and strange irony and strange switchbacking that is revealed in the personalities of the endless shuffling and dealing of, wait for it, you're all just a pack of cards. You'll figure it out. Then came Mr. Smooth, Toxic, Rigor Mortis, High Heat Frottage of Obama boom slang. Dysfunctional sexcapades. And then along came Don't Cry for Me, Argentina Turner. Well, actually, she didn't come, did she? No, she didn't. We finally got a real clown of a cinder block head caricature, but no one knows what Trump the Dump is up to. Dude, you see the trends and all this dumbing down and switching back and forth and the odd kind of personality shifts. I mean, it's impressive. Who could possibly be next? Kanye North by Northwest? I mean, anything can happen, folks. It's really... now for the daily reading from My Pet Groot. I am Groot. I like Groot. May not know who Groot is, but one of these days you will. There are some good things you can say about Trump. You know, look what he's doing to the bent sex epidemic. I mean, he's just right out front there. And there's a number of things. It looks like he's trying to do the right thing, but then there's all this other stuff. And I know a lot of you believe in Trump and, you know, and you don't want to give up. It's kind of like hope, you know, wish in one hand. And I didn't say it, did I? Do I seem a little too cavalier today? I don't know what to make of these radio shows. I don't know what to make of anything I do anymore. Trying to reach people, trying to reach myself. I don't really know where any of it's going. I just, one day follows the next. And I've had some wonderful visits recently from Texas way, this lovely couple, the Crowells, just beautiful people. And then Boulder Dash came by, and what a charmer he is. I mean, it always warms my heart to see what really fine friends I have. I mean, the other people here just can't get over it, you know, that I just know so many sensational people. I don't know why this is. It's not nothing to do with me because I'm a tard, you know, but it's been amazing. And Boulder Dash, he was something else. He just radiates, you know, and he's got this beautiful tan and this incredible, gorgeous head of white hair. As you can see, I do not. I have that, and it's been a disappointment for me for a long time. And yeah, I'm just running on and on, aren't I, folks? But I figure I got to do something. I got to say something, and I hope you're going to get something from this. I'm trying my best, you know, and I can't kind of get away from the giddy, right on the verge of laughter thing all the time that's happening with me. And I can't get around the fact that I love God more than I can possibly say, and that he's the centerpiece of my life and is always there. And there's not much else that's of any real importance to me except my friends. And God, have I been blessed in that regard. You know, I really don't know what to say. It brings me to the verge of tears sometimes. And anyway, something's going on, folks. Right in front of my eyes, and I can't quite make it out. It's funny, it's frightening, it's weirder than a duck-billed platypus on angel dust. It's Pink Flamingo time with the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. It's dreaming in the Levittown, Aboville, Legoland Slide Amusement Park. Something's going on, folks. I can't really put my hands on it, and it makes me like it. I get these altered states just right out of nowhere, you know, because just thinking about it. I think I might be getting the lights on. You've really made my life meaningful. And I guess I just have to say that over and over and over. You're just a fabulous, fantastic group of people. You validate me. And I look at my friends and I go, I must be doing something right. Maybe I'm not as bad as I think I am. I don't know what I think I am, really. Well, I'm just going to slide my way out of here, hoping you know how deeply I feel about the joy you have brought into my life. They also serve who only stand and deliver. God, the puns today are like, You make my day every day, and there's not much more that I can say than that. And we've come to the end of another broadcast, and you'll see me next week if there is one. California's rumbling, walkways in Florida are crumbling, Trump creeps tweeting, and Crimson and Clover is still over and over. So, that said, Micham Ambu Guru Bawa, Alhamdulillah, Oh Mamitaba, greetings my dear friend Lord Ganesh, much loved Lady Nature. Hail Lord Jesus Christ, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Aloha, and Adu. God bless you, one and all.
Take me back through my mind, through the past where I could find karma chains. Help me loose those chains. Help me slash those chains. Help me smash those chains. Help me break these loops in time. Princess Lava Lava. Years of life and love were lost. To feed illusion, what a loss. I want to know what's real. Help me to find real. Help me to be real. Help me to stay real, cause living real's got no hidden cost. Princess Lava Lava. Swing my pendulum with your soothing voice. Help me do this place within. Demask this plastic skin. Free plastic skin demask. Binding karma chains. I wanna lose these chains. I wanna break these chains. I wanna smash these chains. Help me break these loops in time. Princess Lava Lava. Yeah. Princess Lava. Princess Lava. Princess Lava Lava.
Well, there you have it, Princess Lava Lava. And I'm out of here. We'll be back next week. Live, feet to the fire. Oh, well, I gotta hit the wrong button now. Hello. One of these days, I moved to Knucklehadia. Feet to the fire.